Hi, this is week 8, and I know it's fall break, but we still have class, just not as much class as we usually have. Anyhow, I have a couple things I want to talk about, so sit down because it's going to take a little while to go through this video, so I hope you don't get sick of me. But pretend you're not, pretend we're in a classroom. So the first thing I want to talk about is horses. Have you ever wondered what it takes to train a horse? Well, I'll tell you a little story. In 1997, Monty Roberts wrote a book, The Man Who Listens to Horses. And he talked about how he changed the way he trains horses. In the past, there was this theory that you would have to be rough with horses and you'd have to break their spirit to get them to do what you wanted to do. And his father was a horse trainer. And he would watch his father train these horses, and even they would be whipped and beat. And he just felt very sad for these horses. So he decided to take a different route. And he went and he watched the horses, and he would watch them in the herds, and he would watch the wild mustangs. And he would start to learn that they had like a herd language, and there was herd behavior. And he gradually started to understand what certain behaviors or actions that the horses would take would mean. And slowly but surely, he would get the horses to trust him by reacting to them in a way that was similar to how they reacted to each other in the herd. And eventually, he even was able to train wild mustangs, which was unheard of. And this is just in 1997. Monty Roberts changed the way horses are trained today because he listened and he adapted his training method to what he saw was the horse's way of communicating. Story 2. Have you ever heard the story or read the book Zen and Motorcycle Maintenance? And what that talks about is the role of a master craftsman. A master craftsman doesn't follow instructions. A master craftsman looks at the material, looks at the problem, and is able to design or repair based upon the situation in front of them. It's only us novice craftspeople who we need to look at our instructions or follow a YouTube and see what other people did, or we kind of punt and look at a few pictures or pretend we know what we're doing. We really don't. But the master craftsman first evaluates the situation, looks at each of the different components, the problem, the materials, and uses his judgment or her judgment based upon experience to create or fix the situation at hand. And that's the same with a good leader. A good leader can't give you a formula how to be a good leader. A good leader is going to be adaptive. And the leader has to sometimes adapt to the culture of the organization in order for the culture of the organization to adapt to the change that he or she is hoping to attain. I want you to think about that. I will be posing a question in the announcements, and that will be the question that I'm looking for everybody to respond to in their blog. So that brings us up to blogs. Last week we were supposed to blog about Bob Marley, and I want to say that I read some phenomenal analysis of Bob Marley and how that might pertain to leadership. And there were some people who said, I didn't see how it could, but then I started to think about what was the role of creating some type of a passion for empowerment, some kind of a community. And I thought that the reflections were very in tune to what the readings were saying about looking at your community and then building trust to be able to lead. Bob Marley, we don't think of him as a leader. His messages aren't always something we think of him as, some kind of counterculture type of guy. But Bob Marley's music in itself is leadership because it showed a different type of music, which will stay. But his message, if you listen to them, was about empowerment of people and working hard every day. So I want you to think about that. I'll look forward to reading the rest of those reflections on that particular tune. So you need to give me your blog addresses, and there's a place in Blackboard to send them. I have a couple of them already, but I need them all. And I'm hoping to assign partners, and then you will read each other's blog. If this is something that you would be uncomfortable with, please send me an email, and I won't assign you a partner, and I'll be your partner. Okay? I want to discuss our discussion board. Discussion board. This past week, we had our presentations on the Google founders and Bill Cosby. And if you didn't read those presentations, then you missed out because they were really great. And if you didn't read the discussion board comments, then you missed out again because the discussion board comments talked about how both dared to be different and about the struggles of Bill Cosby, of what he represented, and about the Google guys and how they were innovative, and how Google, the one Google guy was the first guy to use a word processor to turn in a paper. I mean, it's phenomenal to think about in this short period of time how much change has happened. But the discussion boards can only be effective if we have greater participation. It is a huge part of your grade, and I look forward to reading those. I don't respond to everybody's comments because it should be student driven, but I can assure you that I'm reading them. Late work. I will not take any more late work after Thursday. I will take no more late work. So if you haven't turned in anything by Thursday, and I won't give full credit anymore, or even close. So if you haven't turned in those assignments after Thursday, I'm not going to take them. They were due, and I've been very generous in terms of encouraging you to get your work done. If you want to make an appointment with me, I had suggested last week to make an appointment. It was really to give each other feedback. It is not mandatory. It was just an opportunity. It can be a phone call. It can be as simple as an email exchange. It can be coming to my office. It could be utilizing a Google Chat or Google Hangout. It turns out Google Chat, not everybody has Google Chat. I guess I'm just used to it. And if you don't have Google Plus, you don't have Google Hangout. So, but if you want any of those things, I can help you get them. So that was that. So I think that's the big things I wanted to talk about for today. Look for my question that I'd like you to blog on, but it's going to be about adaptive change, story of the horse, and motorcycle repair, Zen and motorcycle repair, those two concepts. And if you have any questions, please feel free to call me, and I'll look forward to reading your blogs this week. Thanks, and have a great week. Bye-bye.